This is Hutch on Hunting, hosted by Bruce Hutchin. And we're going to connect with a really interesting younger man. He's younger than I am, so he's a young man. And Alex Wessel really loves hunting. And during this next hour, you're going to hear why he loves hunting. And he's going to tell you that for a cup of coffee a day, your next hunt could be in Africa. Alex, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. Happy to be on here. Excited. First time ever doing anything like this. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I am
I
excited.
can't believe you're a newbie with the amount of podcasts that are out there. When I started podcasts in 2015, there weren't as many podcasts. Now everybody has a podcast because everybody wants a voice. And I'm happy to be a podcaster. I'm way over 700 guests and, 500,000 downloads. But I found it interesting to talk to all sorts of people. And I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, first podcast. Definitely a consumer of them. Probably more time spent listening to them than I should. But yeah, happy to be here. Let's do it.
So, in the warm up, making sure everything was working, we talked about your hunting foundation. And I think it's important for people to find out, how did Alex become a hunter?
Yeah, that's it's been something hunting, like I'm sure many of your guests will agree with, is a major part of my life. Family, friend group, really everything. What consumes your thoughts during the day? If you're daydreaming from work a little bit, or on your weekends training for something, um, I've really reflected more just in my early 30s now. Have a 2.5-year-old daughter, so a lot of reflection takes place once you become a father. And one thing I've really thought about a lot is the importance of my father and the role he played in my hunting journey up to this point, and really being able to see that from a different lens of just a son who gets to go hunting with his father, but now friends who go hunting together and are thinking about that next generation. So for me, my father, he grew up, his father didn't hunt. His grandfather did a little bit, but he saw the passion of my father and supported it. But he really didn't, have anybody to take him and teach him the ropes. And it became a mega passion of his, and really, helped him in his life. And so when I was growing up, I would see dad hunting. We would, this was the, you know, uh, pre-internet. So we were watching the early, the very first outdoor channel when it was the very first thing, even, back when it was the gold mining show. I mean, early days. And, I probably could list every animal before the ABCs, because that is just what we did: magazines, TV, everything. And he saw my excitement for it early on. So my very first, hunt ever was an early season teal hunt, um, in eastern Nebraska. And he said, "Hey, it's time for you to finally go with dad." I was 6, so I was in kindergarten, and super excited. Packed everything the night before, set all my clothes out, made a lunch, everything. Just all the important stuff to a little kid, I guess. And we went out, and of course, teal. It's kind of right at first light. It's kind of hot and heavy, crazy. And he had his limit in minutes. It was a 6 birds, and we were done. And I remember, he really played it up for me, handed me, a wooden duck call. I think maybe his grandfather had given him, or one of his old first ones he learned on. And I blew on it. He told me for years, "Oh yeah, that was the first time he called in a duck." Well, no, it was teal. They just kind of, they're either in or they're not. But it was just such a core memory, and he saw what that did for me. I mean, at the time, I was bummed out that we didn't hunt long enough to eat our sandwiches we packed. But now looking back on it, I said, no, I mean, I can think about it. And what I dream of now is giving my daughter that first experience, because it's lived with me for so long. And it only progressed from there. You know, back in 2001, I was 8 years old. And again, internet was still really early. And he bought a bobcat hunt out of the back of a magazine, I believe. And we went to Bakersfield, California, and went somewhere in the mountains on a bobcat hunt when I was 8 years old. And, it didn't really go how I planned it. We ended up sleeping in the extended cab of an old Ford F-150 for about 5 nights, and it ended up working out. But we left the hotel and we didn't see it again for nearly a week. And that was not the plan. But again, I just loved every minute of it. And he would see that. And so, as I was growing up and he was seeing the passion for hunting in me, he would just take me, from the age of 6 on, whether we were late December, you know, sub-zero tree stand hunting, he would take me. He would layer me up, and he knew, if I got cold, we would just be done. So what I look at now is for him, the harvesting of an animal was maybe a byproduct of it, but really what it was the experience there with his son and teaching me things that, you don't learn in school, real life skills and life lessons, what it is to be a hunter and a conservationist. For me, what it is to be a man, your role in the world, a lot of different things. And that just continued. I mean, he was pedal down with my passion for it. Again, probably dating myself a bit here, but back when we had cassettes, and that was extremely common. That's how I learned how to blow duck and goose calls. He would buy a call, it'd come with a cassette, he would put it in on a road trip, he would hand me the call and say, make it sound like that. I mean, talk about the patience of a man to give a kid a call, and say, here you go, make it sound like that. This is going to be quite the learning curve. So, as I grew up, I mean, everything I could hunt, he was there to teach me how to do it. And that was a big thing too, was the teaching of it. And I was extremely fortunate and just incredibly thankful now, especially the older I get, to have a dad in my life who was able to teach me that and pass that on to me and have something that we still bond over to this day. I mean, we do, 3 to 4 trips a year, whether it's hunting or fishing. I mean, we spend all this core time together now, and it's the best memories I have, truly. And I look forward to the next one because those will live on forever. Um, so yeah, it just grew from there. Anything you can hunt in Nebraska, I've been all over Canada, bear hunting together, waterfowl hunting, fishing trips, you name it. Um, that's what we've been doing.
You're a very fortunate young man.
Yes, I am. Especially growing up and knowing my dad didn't have that. So everything he taught me was kind of first generation knowledge. He had books, he had magazines, different banquets, going with people, things like that. I had a dad. We could talk about it in the field, we could talk about it at home, and we were both extremely passionate about it. So yes, I'm very fortunate to have that. And I would say to maybe others out there, if you have kids, you know, by all means, I'm not saying push it on them, but explore it if they're passionate about it. If you're a hunter, your kids might be into, and if they are, I would say maybe take a minute to reflect and really consider your role in that experience for them and in that growth process. From maybe our goal is to be successful hunting. Well, maybe the success is redefined now that you're in a teaching, in a mentorship, in a guidance role. Because I saw that now, that I'm older, my dad doing that, and it's critical. It was critical, and I'm extremely blessed, and I can never thank my dad enough for that. Truly.
That's great. What do you do for a day job if you have one?
Yeah. So I have worked at a bank now since 2015. That was when I graduated with my undergrad. Pretty much been in technology the whole time. So lots of different things in technology. I won't bore you with it. I pretty much bore everybody with it, but yeah, just work in the technology department for a bank, and I've been doing that for 9 years now.
Now, what state are you in? I don't know.
Yeah, I am in Nebraska.
Okay. What part?
Yeah, Eastern, basically Omaha area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I go through there 3 or 4 times a year.
Oh yeah. Yep. We're you know, one of the flyover states or the drive through with the interstate cutting right through. But yeah, it's a great place. I mean, I grew up in a small town, 1,000 people, uh, outside of Omaha, and kind of went back to the small town in 2021. Love it. I mean, everything that I love is here. Our local family farm, all of our family, and it's really just a great place to live and work and hunt.
Good. Can you turkey hunt and deer hunt right out of your farm?
Yeah, yeah. So again, another shout out to my dad. He had a vision back in the early 2000s. He was always into real estate, crop insurance, and so he was just always out, seeing different properties, whether he was helping people sell them or buy them, and basically the short of it is he wanted his legacy to be a family farm for us. So we're not farmers. When I say family farm, it is strictly hunting hobby farm. So have a few hundred acres close to us, within 30 minutes driving, and have a cabin on it. And all we do with it is manage the land to grow big deer and to maintain healthy turkey populations. And then in 80 of it, we actually, gosh, I think it was probably back in '05, he built a man-made duck pond on there. So we had
Wow.
a buried pit, propane, electricity, pump, and we had a duck club for a while. And I went to school close to there, and so I would go out if I wasn't in class or practice or anything in college. I was duck hunting, trapping, deer hunting, whatever it could be. So again, extremely lucky that my dad had that vision, and over the years made that a reality for our family, because now it's our gathering spot. It's where we do everything. Deer camp is basically a holiday for us. Our whole family hunts. And again, core memories made around the campfire every night, not necessarily just in a deer blind, but all of it happens because of that.
Sounds like you got a wonderful father, so
Yeah,
cherish that.
absolutely. Yep. Every minute, any trip we can go on, we do it because, like I said, those memories we make, if you catch a pile of fish, that's a bonus. But just getting up there and spending time together is what it's really about.
Now, people listening to this, you will be able to see it later on when Hutch and Hunting podcast is up on YouTube. But tell me about that cat.
Yeah. So whenever you all see this, you'll be able to see in my background here, I have a life-size pedestal mount of a mountain lion. So that was pretty interesting. I guess, when I was 8 and got that first bobcat out in California, it just kind of started an interest in predators for me. I mean, cats, coyotes, bears, anything really for me is been really interesting. So when I was a junior in high school, there's this organization called Close Up, and essentially what it is a class trip that takes place in Washington D.C. So all these different schools from across the country participate in Close Up, and so you raise money for it all year. You go out to D.C. and you see everything for just a full week. I mean, 12 miles a day, just walking, seeing everything. It's fantastic. So you do that over your junior year, or at least that's how it was back when I was in high school. And as part of that, you and a roommate from your school randomly get placed with two others from a different school from wherever. Mine happened to be from Montana. So I met our roommates. They were from this little tiny town east of Missoula in Montana. And they walked in, we got to know each other, and we were basically the same people separated by states. And I mean, he was into wrestling, football, hunting. Basically, if I would have lived on the base of a mountain, that would have been me. So we just instantly hit it off. Stayed friends over the years, even to the point. I mean, he was in my wedding in 2017, so we just really, by chance, met some people that became great friends, and just over the years, it started freshman year of college. We decided over Christmas break, said, "Hey, you should come mountain lion hunting with us." My dad and I, have dogs. We love mountain lion hunting. That's all we do. Almost like whitetail hunting for us in Nebraska. So I went up, we got on a ton of cats. I mean, it was a great trip, but none of them were in the right unit. And so the end of the trip came, I was bummed because I didn't get a cat, but still just the experience of seeing that part of the country, all the hikes we went on, just seeing that whole different lifestyle and way of hunting and those experiences. I loved it. And so he said, hey, why don't you start putting in for an out of state tag in this specific unit? Because that's basically where all these cats ended up that we couldn't get to. So I said, okay, yep, I'll do that. And over the meantime, I said, hey, you guys come down and whitetail hunt with us. So it kind of became, I'll cat hunt with you guys. You come down whitetail hunt with us and ducks, whatever. So 7 years later, I drew the tag and was able to get up there. I think they called on Christmas Day, said, hey, a big snowstorm's blowing in. Can you get here? And I said, I think so. I looked at my wife, said, can I be gone after Christmas for, however long? She said, yeah, go for it. So it was like a 19-hour drive and I drove it straight because I had to get there for the storm. And I would not recommend that driving from Nebraska to Western Montana to one go if you're by yourself, but I did it. And I was also a much younger man. And it was great. I think it was the second or third day. We ended up getting on this big Tom, and kind of the rest is history, and have the memory of it forever. The experience with one of my best friends and his family, and just seeing how he hunts and what hunting means to him in a different part of the States.
Thank you for that. And folks, couple of things. I'm working on a book called Return on Relationships, ROR. And what Alex just talked about was just perchance the universe brought him and his friend in Montana together. And I mean, it's pretty neat stuff when you have somebody like that you met in an outing in Washington, they become part of your life and you become part of their life.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
hunting is to me. It's the relationships I've developed for years. And I've been hunting the same farm for 58 years. You've heard this enough times. But Dick Rogers is the gentleman that took me there. And I'm 78 and he's 80 now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still going after it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would, I would say hunting, well, one is it transcends location for sure. So example, Montana, a lot of the core belief systems of it and what people prioritize, just outlooks, a lot of that's the same. It's just, what are you pursuing and how are you going about it? And the bonds you can create there. I mean, I would even say, we get out of the realm of friendship and closer into family.
That's great. So
Yeah.
all this to bring us up to how you and your wife get over to Africa. And in the warm up, you're so excited about Africa because if you're hearing my voice, you could hunt Africa cheaper than you can come to Colorado and hunt with a guide for a bolo.
Yeah, I would say, without specific examples, I would say that is a fair assessment. Yes. Just start shopping prices, I mean, I myself, the only hunting I really do in the States in terms of big game outside of Nebraska is things I can feel like I can get away with DIY, or by happenstance, the cat. Or for example, this year I have a buddy in New Mexico, loves elk hunting. So I just put in for New Mexico for the first time. But that's the only way. If I go, let's say, to a hunting banquet, instantly I am outbid for any of those auctions. Or if you just get on someone's website or anything, I've seen $15,000 to $20,000 is not unrealistic for a big game hunt anywhere out west. So last summer, my uncle approached me, and he's done nothing but big game hunting his whole life. It's been all over the world. I mean, Africa, New Zealand, just name somewhere, he's pretty much been there. Alaska, Canada, everywhere. And he loves hitting auctions and seeing what's out there. So basically he bought a safari in, I think it was 2020 or 21, something like that. And the world was obviously in a much different state then, so he couldn't go on the hunt. So fast forward to last year, and it was the final year he could book this hunt. Well, he had an injury that wouldn't allow him to fly for that long and then hunt the way he likes to hunt, which is using your feet, not hunting from a truck or anything. And so he said, hey, I've got this hunt. It's a package for 4 different animals. Is that something you and your wife would want? You'd probably be gone about 2 weeks, considering a few days to fly there, few days to fly back. And I said, well, I absolutely would, but man, I don't know if my wife's going to want to be gone for that long from our daughter and everything. And so I went home and I forgot about it. I casually just brought it up, and it was an instant yes. I believe it was actually a select word yes. She was in, and I said, okay, wow. Let's look into this, because I said that's just a package for 4 animals and day fees, but there are certainly other costs that go into going on safari. And we started to look into it, and we soon realized, I mean, this is far more affordable than what we thought. Airfare, that's going to be what it is. It's kind of, you catch it when you catch it. You can spend a lot, or you can catch a deal and not spend a lot. But granted, it's a long ways to travel. So we figured it out within, I think it was May. We were leaving in August. We figured out how to, save enough to enhance our trip as much as we can. I was looking for any work I could. I said, hey, does somebody need their lawn mowed? Do you need sticks hauled? I kind of felt like I was in high school again, just looking for anything just to get some extra cash, because we didn't have, the time we would have liked. Let's say if I'm planning one a few years out, I would certainly make choices that would align to getting us there and to optimize that time. But what I'll say is, even with that, package that was provided, we still, got there, got home, and we added 6 additional animals. So their trophy fees and everything. And we added 3 extra hunting days and 1 total non-hunting day. So we were gone, or we were there essentially 10 days, and then a few extra days of travel. And when everything was said and done, getting there, getting back, we were right at what I have seen elk hunts go for. And that's a substantial, I mean, 10 animals is a substantial safari, so you don't have to do that. You can go bigger, you can go smaller. It's really up to you. And, with who we go with, Yanni Auto Hunting Safaris, he customizes it just for you. I mean, anything you want. And so we can get more into that, but just that's kind of
Yeah, let's get more into that.
how
Let's
we did
talk
it. Yeah.
about your outfitter. Let's talk about your PH and how do people check them out, and
Yeah.
give people background, because I hunted all over North America. I was invited to Africa a couple of different times, and I didn't go for whatever reason. One, because I was hunting, my hunt plan was for North American species.
Mm-hmm.
And with my work, I was able to fly here, fly there. So I didn't have a lot of expenses. Even when I hunted Alaska, I could work it so I wouldn't have the normal airfare expenses. And so
Yeah.
that was to my advantage. And just a perk of the business. But the times I got invited to Africa, I said, that's not on my list. And I always thought I'd hunt Africa later, because yes, you can just get in lorries and drive around, or you can spot and stalk, or a combination thereof. And so I haven't. But It's just like when I started sheep hunting, it wasn't the price it is now. So back in the 80s and 90s, you could have gone on a sheep hunt probably about $5,000. Today they're 15, 20, they're whatever you want to spend. That's what they are now.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So what I tell people all the time, I said, Africa is the best hunt you can invest in. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, it's the best hunt. You have to do your homework though. That's the biggest thing I tell people. You have to do your homework because you got to get references, you got to get people that have been there and hunted with them because it's all over the map, you know.
Yeah.
And some hunts are just archery hunts. You're sitting by a water hole all day. I could do that a day or two, but I don't want to spend a whole hunt at a water hole. But
Yeah.
some hunts, that's all you have. I mean, that's what you're given. And so you have to be very careful. So that's my 2 cents. But anybody hearing my voice can afford to go to Africa. Even you can't DIY it, but a DIY elk hunt today with an $800 tag, you're talking at least $2,000 for archery elk hunt DIY in
Yeah.
Colorado.
And then go up from there to guided to
Yeah,
rifle,
it
hard to draw units, especially as a non-resident. I mean, it
no, it's
can,
expensive. Hunting
yeah,
is expensive.
it is.
And
It
that's not
it
even
is.
counting in, a safe of guns and a closet full of gear.
Yeah. Yeah, which
We
is always
haven't even
easy to
talked about
justify,
that.
right? Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's another, beautiful thing about hunting Africa. Few different perspectives on that is I'm 31, my wife's younger than me. When we went to Africa, I was 30, she was in her 20s. And you know,
How old's your wife? I didn't hear that.
now we were 30 and 29 when we went.
She's
And
21?
I no, she's 30 now. She was
30.
29 when we went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I
And
was going, holy fright.
no, yeah, no, only about a year behind me. And what I'll say is my impression of Africa, I never really had the strong desire because I never did research. And I'm somebody, if I get my mind on something, whether it's a hunt, I go down the rabbit hole of research. I spend way too much time on it. My due diligence is probably unhealthy at this point when it comes
No,
to
I don't
when it
think
comes to
so.
research.
Because I go down rabbit holes myself,
Yeah.
and I've had only in my whole history, right? 1966 to 2024, I've only had one hunt blow up in me. And that was
Yeah.
a multi-day, package, multi-species BC, hunt. And I left after 5 days. I just left. And they said, well, we're not going to refund any money. I said, I didn't ask. But
Yeah.
because it's costing me money to be here because I'm not working. I'm not producing. So I've already paid you. That's sunk money.
Yeah.
It didn't work out. I'm out of here. Obviously, I'll never be back, nor I'll never recommend you. But
Exactly.
I'm gone. Take me back to Revelstoke and I'll get on an airplane and I'm gone. That was it.
Yeah. Yep. Hunting. I mean, it's the service industry, man. And there's so many things that you can't control, but you try to. It's extremely challenging. And my view on Africa was, I think the first thing I said was, I can't afford that. I'm 30. We're both working class people. Pretty still, I would say, early in our careers. And so I just thought, no way we can swing this. And, started running the numbers. And yeah, like I said, 6 animals, tips, all in cost, less than a trophy elk hunt back home. And for much longer. And that was for 6 animals. Could have been a lot more, but again, we had a list that we stuck to based on our budget, and we made it work with short turnaround time. So if you have a year or two to plan, you can really do it. And what I'll tell people is Africa can seem daunting because you're so far away, the time difference, and just go walk a show. There are so many people in this game for Africa hunts. I mean, there's a ton of outfitters out there, and you really have to sift through them, especially when you're looking into costs. Some of them will say, oh, you harvest an animal and oh, it scored this, field scored this, so now there's an additional cost. I mean, there's a ton out there that will have different, ways of kind of nickel and diming. Then there's some, everything's up front. It's out there, some websites are good, some are bad. So, one thing I'll tell people is there was certainly a lot of due diligence done with this hunt in particular. I know it started with my uncle, but again, same family, he's a lot like me, doesn't just go sign up with anybody. If he's going to be gone for a few weeks in a different part of the world, especially. And we saw that ourselves real time. And so, what I'll tell people, we will discuss it on here, and I'm sure down in the show notes and everything, we'll have information for you all to get a hold of me, my email, my Instagram.
Yeah, just tell them
do it.
How to get a hold of you right now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yep. So best email address for me is Alex Wessels 11. So that is ALEXWESSELS and then the number 11 at gmail.com. So Alex Wessels 11 at gmail.com. Or Instagram, you can find me. I think it's just Alex _Wessels _50. It's a public profile, so you should be able to see all my pictures. You'll quickly see that it's me because they're all basically Africa pictures now. So reach out to me because in my view, there's nothing better than somebody that's at least close to your time zone that has just been there that you can reach out to and ask any question, because there are a lot of details, but it doesn't have to be daunting. Let somebody like me who put in all the work already of saying, who's the best company to book flights with? What if I want to bring my firearms? How do I do that? All these different things. What happens when I get there? How do I talk to my PH? How do I talk to my outfitter? All of these different things. I've been through that, and I can help you. And I'll say is, Yanni Otto's been doing this for 42 years. He's one of the top outfitters for a reason, and he's been in business that long for a reason, because the frustrations that people might have with booking hunts like this don't really exist there. I mean, we had no issues with it from the flights to when we got to Johannesburg. Somebody sitting there with a sign for us. We walked right through customs and everything. Didn't even have to talk to anybody. He just said, "Give me your passports. Put your bags up here." We didn't say a word. Walked us through all the big lines because that's part of the agreement that was there. And again, we could talk through Gracie Travel with Guns, all these different companies out there who can provide some of these services. But Yanni takes care of all that for you. He recommends it. So that's something I can help you with. I mean, the minute we got there, everybody's on time. Our PH is there. He knows who we are. We've been talking to him for weeks before, talking through priorities of our hunt. What do we really want to experience? Because it's not just about hunting. It's about seeing a different part of the world, seeing the culture, just really, I mean, the sights, the smells, the tastes, the everything it is. It's not just hunting, and everything was made so easy, but not everybody's like that. You will hear horror stories out there. So again, reach out to me. I don't have a business that I'm trying to sell. Hey, reach out to me. I'll book a safari for you and then, send you a bill. I'm just passionate about it. I want to see people go. I want to get the word out to break the, perception I have of it's not an option for me because I can't afford it. Now I haven't looked into it at all. I'm just saying that because it's really far away and all you ever see on TV are, people who look like they have a ton of money doing it, right? And that's not the case at all. That is absolutely not the case. And I want to get the word out there and help other people go have the experience that my wife and I had and that we're,
When are you
hopefully
going
we'll have
back?
again.
Let me
And
ask
that's
you,
the
when are you
question.
going
Yeah.
back?
The funny thing is you go over there and they say, you're gonna take a little hit of the comeback drug here because you're gonna be back, and it's true, man. It's true. So I would like to go back as soon as possible, but really, with life, I'm still, being being kind of a younger family and everything. I'm hoping no later than 2027. And the reason I say that is that will be our 10-year anniversary. So I'm hoping that can be
There you go.
a good selling point for, hey, let's get back there and figure it out. And again, more time for us to, again, save for it because we've done the first Plains game safari. And now, once you go over there, other things interest you more. So I would really like to go and hunt buffalo. It's just a matter of how to make that happen. So again, more time to build for it rather than kind of a last minute, hey, figure this out type thing. If I can have some more runway um, to have the one that I want to have and be gone longer. So I would love to say 2026, but realistically, probably the earliest would be 2027.
That's great. And I have a friend that grew up, he was English, his parents were English. Anyway, grew up in Nairobi, and he goes back, or did, for every single year just because he had family over there. Anyway, and he tells incredible stories. And, the sunsets and the sunrises and the sundowners. And I don't know if you've ever read Robert Rourke's books, Something of Value, great. And then Chapstick's books about hunting Africa. And it's just a magical place. And I've been to many magical places in North America.
Yeah,
But
I would agree. I mean,
yeah, magical places. But there's something about Africa and sitting out around the campfire, veranda, whatever, and hearing a lion roar, which I haven't done, that reaches into your soul, and you're part of what makes hunting hunting.
yeah, I would agree. It's much different over there. And I mean, what what I really thought about a lot on the flight home, because you certainly have a fair amount of time to think about it, is there's been a lot of people who can really communicate effectively, try to discuss Africa. I myself feel that I'm pretty good at communicating a message to somebody. I still haven't been able to find the words for it. I mean, you're sitting on top of a mountain, yeah, having a fire, watching sun go down. I mean, having a sundowner every night there, it's different, even the shades of orange and reds and purples, they're different than here. I've been to Alaska. I've done that. I've been fishing. I've seen it. I've, been far enough north to see the northern light. I've done a lot of different things in my life. And over there, nothing compares, and we only saw a small slice of it. We went to two different camps in South Africa. And when we go back, we just want to see as much of the continent as we can. And it's just so different. And I feel bad that I can't, just convince everybody I talk to because I'm like, man, if only you knew what you were missing out on. I mean, we talk about how now we envy somebody who hasn't been yet or who's going on their first because you don't know what to expect. You don't know the time that you're going to have. You don't know the impact it's going to have on you. So when it hits you, I mean, it's pure. It connects with just a primal part of you. You're like, man, I can't explain this, but this is it. This is what it means. This is way different than anything I've done. It's different than sitting in a deer blind on opening morning when the air is crisp and that breeze is rolling in and it's dead quiet and you hear the first crunch of a buck walking through. I mean, that connects with so many people. This is just so different. And every experience is different because it's like, going on multiple big game hunts in a short amount of time. I think a lot of people say it's like 10 years of hunting packed into 10 days. And it's just absolutely incredible. And I would really tell people consider it. Shoot me a message, shoot me an email. Let's see how we can get you over there because I want you to experience it, especially if you are a younger person and maybe you are getting frustrated because what we grew up watching, our dads do, our grandfathers do, the people on TV, the moose hunts, the elk hunts, going to Alaska to hunt bears, to hunt caribou. It's tougher. And you're spending, yeah, yeah, it's disappearing. Whether here we're just losing places to go. There's a lot of organizations out there who don't agree with our lifestyle of hunting and are trying to do anything they can to make it go away. But then even just the prices of things are pricing a lot of people out. And you want to be able to do this for as long as you can. And so the earlier you can start, the better. So, consider going to Africa. I mean, for the same amount of money, you can go have a trip of a lifetime, see somewhere you never thought you would have seen. And it's, multiple animals, and you have a lot of people working to make you successful. Look at my mountain lion hunt. I had 2 hunts and 7 years of applying and bonus points in between for a chance at one animal, and that's just a long time commitment. I was lucky I didn't have to pay an outfitter, but now take that same scenario and throw in now I have to go find an outfitter because I drew a tag. I mean, it's just crazy. So for me, I went there, experienced it, I learned the truths of it, and I'm like, man, this is for me much better value. And I've never had a better time. I mean, my wife and I have been to Mexico, I've been to Jamaica on trips. We said never again. Why would we go lay on a beach for a week when we could, save up a few years of going on one of those trips and go do another safari?
That's funny.
I mean,
I
it's
used to
just
go to Hawaii.
completely changed our lives.
We went to Hawaii. My daughter went to school there, so I rented a house and went surfing. But that's another thing. Back in the day, I said, I could go on safari, then I could surf down, in South Africa. And I should have. James Bay is a iconic, break down in South Africa. I never got there, but it's still possible that I will get to Africa. And so with that, we got to wrap this segment up of Hutch on Hunting. Any last words? Why don't you tell people again how to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So few different ways, email, and then probably just Instagram messages. Again, emails alexwessels11@gmail.com. And then Instagram is alex_wessels_50. Should be easy to find me on there. I'll make sure that I have everything sent over to you, Bruce, so you can put it down in the show notes below.
Yeah, I need all your contact information for show notes.
Yep. So we'll do that. So whether, if you couldn't understand me here, take a peek at the bottom, you'll see everything. But, for what we discussed here today is one, think somebody in your life who got you into hunting if you haven't lately. Be that person for somebody if you have not been already, and consider Africa. Shoot me a note. We can talk strategies of how to get there. Everything from utilizing credit card points for flights to do I bring a gun? Do I not bring a gun? There's a lot of different ways to find value and savings. So that's something we can certainly help you with. Get you hooked up with Yanni and help you book safari of your dreams, and at least the first one, because you'll always go back.
You always go back.
You'll
And
always
with
go
that,
back.
Alex, thank you so much for being a guest on Hutch on Hunting. And I look forward to having you a guest again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. I do appreciate it.